like to call upon Ms. Maranda Dziekonski, and she is going to talk to us about designing an actionable customer health model. Please give her a warm welcome.
Wonderful. First, thank you, Soumya, for getting my last name right. I know it's a challenging one. And I want to thank everybody for coming today. My name is Maranda Dziekonski. I am the Director of Customer Operations over at HelloSign. I did not put a shameless plug in, so I'm going to do that right now. HelloSign is an electronic signature company, heavily focused on the API vertical. I'm going to say we have best-in-class service, not just because I run it, because it's true. I am over both the customer support area, API engineering support area, and customer success. I have approximately 20 years in various customer-facing roles, and I am a self-proclaimed data junkie. Love sitting and looking at data and identifying trends to create actions on. And most importantly, I am a wife, a mom of a son who will be 15 years old in 2 days, and a fur mom. I'm going to talk a little bit about the journey that I have taken in building out customer success. And when I was looking for a slide to properly represent the confusion when I first sat down in front of all of the various data points, this was the one that best represent my overall feelings. So I took a look at all of the various systems and everything that I needed to do to get started, and I had this moment of, wow, where do I start? What am I going to look at first? Some of the questions I asked myself is, well, what is the most important thing to do first? And where do I start? And I see a few nods in the audience, so I'm sure you guys have all had this whirlwind moment, right? So today we're going to discuss a few key things that I personally did to start building out customer success at HelloSign and various other teams that I've built out at other organizations. And one of the first things that I will say and start with is, before you even crack open your computer and start the build out or start looking at what actions you are going to implement, just have like this agreement with yourself that it's not going to be perfect the first time, right? This is a journey. There are going to be multiple iterations, and then you're going to have iterations upon your iterations as your business changes and evolves. So the first thing that I did is get to know my customer, right? If you're going to be putting actions in place, you want to make sure they're the right actions for the right moment. How do you get to know your customers? There's a few ways to get to know your customers. I always suggest people, doesn't matter what department you are in, to visit the support team, right? Sit with the support team, answer support tickets, take a few support calls, really get to know your customer. What really helped me was being the customer. I made myself the customer of my own product so I could understand the overall customer experience and how the customers felt as they used the product. Really understanding the journey through our product and the different stop points. Those stop points in the product can really impact the overall happiness to value ratios that your customers feel. And also another thing, you'll see I note here, know your customers today and tomorrow. If you're like any other organization, your goal is to grow, right? To scale, to grow, and to continue to move, and maybe even move up market. So I'm going to talk a little bit about knowing your customers, not only today, but also for tomorrow. So corral your data. What do I mean by that? After you think about your customers, you get into the brain of your customers, the next step is to really corral your data. One of the first things I did there was I took a look at all the systems that HelloSign had, and I've done this at various different organizations as well. Really look at the systems, know what data lies within which systems, and really understand the data and the relevance of the data. Not all data is going to be the important or crucial data. So understand what's crucial and what's going to really help you understand which actions you need to take. And then here's my shameless plug for Tatango. Get that data corralled into a common repository. If you have data like HelloSign does, in various places. Like we have our support tickets in Zendesk, sales items in Salesforce. We have our own internal proprietary system where we keep track of user data, MRR, ARR, whatever package they're on. I mean, separated out, these data points mean nothing, but if you take them and corral them and put them in a common repository like Tatango, you can definitely start to see trends on the actions that the customers take. So after you corral your data, so now here we are, we know our customer, right? We have the data corralled. The next thing is segmentation, right? Really thinking through your customers and realizing not all customers are created equal. And what do I mean by that? So you're not going to take the same type of activities for a free customer that has little to no growth potential as you would maybe a free customer with great growth potential, or a mid-market or enterprise customer with great growth potential. And really, when you're doing this and you're corralling this data and looking at the segmentation, I want to talk a little bit about capitalizing on the differences and the similarities. So you have multiple customers going through your product on a daily cadence, hopefully, right? If they're utilizing your product. Look at the various actions each of the customers take and capitalize on those similarities to where you don't have to recreate the world for each segment. So I will give an example. With HelloSign, you have logins, you have signature request, document requests, things like that. And that's going to happen across every segment. So you can learn from their activities, their logins, their clicks, all of that regardless of the package size. Best practices for bucketing. I know everybody's models are going to be different, but I kind of touched upon it just a little bit. Making sure that you take into account the business size. A lot of us are in a land and expand world. So we want to land, get in there, and then grow, right? We don't want to just always be the same with these customers. So if we landed at a Twitter, for example, and we had 10 users, we know that the possibilities there are huge because Twitter is a big account. So I talked a little bit about the shared behaviors amongst the segments, but I want to touch upon it a little bit more. So now that you've identified the common data points within the segmentation, it's time to start identifying the trends, right? So do all customers that do a certain activity within their first month renew? Or on the contrary, do all customers that don't do this particular activity within the first month churn? Really look at those and create action items around that. Partner with various people in the organizations in marketing, sales, to really set the customers up for success from the get-go. All right, so I am a firm believer that customer success is owned company-wide. It's not a department thing, it's not in a silo, it's really owned company-wide. So when you are looking at your data and you identify that customer's magic moment, and what I mean by magic moment is the aha moment for them, where they have realized value and they see why you are going to be so sticky in their workflow. You want to take that information and share it with others in the organization and help map the product journey. So it's really important that you drive this voice within the organization that everybody owns customer success, from engineering to sales, product. Every department has a piece of the pie. Okay, so in the beginning, I said, make a promise to yourself that you're not going to expect perfection right from the get, right? So at this point in time, you've probably been running your customer success model for a little bit, and you're going to think, I may be missing something, right? There's going to be this magic moment where you're going to say, okay, I don't feel like this is the complete picture that I'm looking for. That's okay. That's actually where you want to be, right? You want to operate and iterate. So the next step is, of course, to start looking at, once again, the customer experience and iterate once again on the overall process to see what you could potentially be missing. And I think I'm going to have the shortest presentation to get us all to lunch. quicker, so hopefully that wins me some points, right? So once again, I just want to reiterate, what's true today may not be true tomorrow, right? You always want to get to know your customers. They're going to be evolving continuously and changing, so don't think of it as a one and done activity. Your customers for today will not hopefully be the same customers tomorrow. We want to keep them, but we want to evolve them. Corral your data. Data is just data unless you get it into a common repository to where you can drive analytics from it and actions. Segment. Once again, I think this is just a common practice in most SaaS industries and industries outside of SaaS as well. You're going to have different action items based on where your customers lie in that segmentation. And I really want to end it with making sure, once again, that you have everybody thinking company-wide about the actions that they can take to drive customer success. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.